New Patient Group Nation. Hope you had a great weekend. Brian here, and let's kick off another great Monday morning with a 5 fantastic minutes. Going to be talking about 3 consequences that I want the TCs to make sure that you're hitting on every single exam that you have from a new patient perspective. This is, while directed at the TCs, doctors as well. This is very important to reiterate a couple of the things the TCs are going to be hitting on in that exam process. Very important you come in and piggyback off of these consequences that I'm going to be talking about today. We're going to take it a little bit further than we normally do, okay? I just got back from a practice. Shout out Boyd Whitlock's practice. We worked hard and heavy on these 3 consequences, and they're so key. The first one, from a how do you put more value on the treatment? How do you flip the narrative, we call it, from just aesthetics to more the clinical side, are those clinical consequences. Coach Eric and I are big on that because that is inevitably how people buy. They buy based on what we stand to lose, not necessarily what we stand to gain. Now, it's important to combine those two together. But the clinical consequences are something that if you've been with us quite a while, you know that we drive home with role plays in practice, something that's so important for you to have the knowledge of what that domino effect looks like if they don't move their teeth and they don't straighten their teeth into a beautiful position. What could happen if they wait? Fill in the blanks, okay? That story to tell the consumer is very, very important, from a flipping the narrative from just aesthetics, which most of them are there for, we all know, to also more of an understanding and valuing of the clinical things. Now, we got to take this further, okay? Because, believe it or not always, not everyone is going to be driven by those clinical consequences, because they're not going to happen tomorrow, right? Maybe it leads to gum disease, whatever it may be. That's not going to happen tomorrow. That's years down the road, most likely, okay? So let's talk about some other things that can maybe put even greater importance from a consequence standpoint onto them going, I've got to get this treatment today, or I've got to get it soon, and placing more urgency, okay? So we've got the clinical consequences to place more value. But now let's talk about how we place more urgency in addition to that as well, okay? 2 more. Whitlock's team, I know you're looking at me going, oh God, we've got to hear this again. We just heard it. Well, the reality is it's really important to hear it again and again and again. I want you to all just kind of sing along with me here at the end when I ask you to do an exercise, okay? Let's talk about these other 2 for a moment, okay? The second one is money, okay? What happens if they wait and those clinical consequences that you're educating them on do happen? Well, you know, it's kind of like what patients have when they feel when they feel the pain, it's kind of too late, right? Well, guess what happens financially? Costs more money to get out of that, right? More money to a lot of people places not only more value, but more urgency, and arguably more than the actual clinical consequences that you're talking about. Now, the goal, though, is to tie these together in the story. You know, once you get gum disease, once you have bone loss, those type of things, once you start losing your teeth, obviously, at that point, it's going to cost them more money, okay? So that's how you tie those 2 in. And the financial is a big deal to people, okay? The other one, though, and this, from what I've seen from experience, really ties it all together in kind of a beautiful picture, but it's left out of so many exams. I mean, the clinical consequences are not talked about much in exams, in orthodontics, dentistry, etc. But you all are really good at it. TCs have been with us for a while. You're masters at that. TCs that are newer, you've got to become a master at those clinical conversations leading to costing more money. They've got to feel the pain of their wallet. It's very important. And then that leads us to the final consequence. And honestly, it's the one asset that we never get back, and that's time, okay? And that one arguably moves the needle more than anything, all right, is time. We don't get time back. So if you wait, Mr. Wright, until these clinical consequences happen, it's going to cost you way more money to get it fixed, and then also a lot more of your time visiting multiple doctors, multiple appointments, and we don't get that time back. All of those are true, okay? So sing it with me out loud right now. What are the 3? Clinical consequences, financial consequences, time consequences. Clinical, money, time. So important that we tie those together in the exam room. And then doctors, so important that you don't leave those out, okay? You need to reiterate those as well before prescribing the treatment modality that you choose for that particular patient. Very important that you're articulating that as well. Let's tie that together into a story. Clinical, financial, time, all right? Don't forget those. Let's start doing those. Become a master at that. Have a great week, MPG Nation. We'll see everybody soon. Bye-bye.